Yep, we got great sound. So, all right, everybody, let's do this. You ready,
Okay.
Marcel?
Yes.
All right. Woo! Welcome to Shypanther and Friends, everybody. It's the first day of October 2020, Thursday. The time is now 7:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. We were gonna go Facebook Live, but we had to switch real fast to YouTube because for some reason Zoom didn't load up to Facebook. So we shared the Facebook so you'll know. And we are live on YouTube, but you should be able to see us on Facebook. And all you got to do is click on it to hear the show, and it'll take you to YouTube where we actually are. All right. So, if this is your first time checking out Shy Panther and Friends, we're normally here Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. And the mission of the program is to provide quality programming, and our goal is to uplift, educate, and empower. So, and I always ask everybody to support the show in any way that you can, and that can mean you share the page, like the page, you can donate to the show, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And go to our website at shypanthermediagroup.org. Support the show, leave your email so I can reach out to you, let you know everything that's happening with us. And today we are the guests. We don't have a special guest. We are the special guests. We have Clarence, we have Marcy here, and they will be telling you a lot more about who they are. So go right on. Clarence.
Oh, I don't know who I am. I'm just here. Hi, my name is Clarence Thomas. I'm uh, I'm retired from two jobs. I retired from the police department. I was a sergeant on the police department, and I retired from OEMC, where I was deputy director for police and fire dispatch. And now I just sort of mosey around, and Gail invited me on the show, and I've been having fun.
Good, good. I'm so happy that you are. Glad to hear that. All right, Marcy.
Good evening. My name is MJ, and I am the owner and operator of MJ Healthy Me, a health and wellness company. I also am the owner and operator and the creator of TaylorBeesBeardOil.com. And I am also a current employee of the OEMC, which I have. And I'm just happy to be here tonight and giving you guys good programming every week. And I'm considered a resident rebel for Gail Hall.
Oh, I muted myself. Oh, yeah, she is very much resident rebel. Around- Stick around for the next hour and you will see.
No.
Now I know why I'm here, to keep Marcy in line.
That's right.
Yeah,
We,
he's the security.
yeah, we need the best. So thank you, Claire. Okay, so we got so much happening in just a week. Um,
Yeah.
and have you guys gotten your vote by mail packet yet?
Yes, I did. And right now I'm doing my diligence and looking over these judges because you know how I feel about when it comes to judges. So I'm
Oh,
looking over these judges and doing some background on. It's a lot of them, a lot of them. And
okay,
unfortunately, there are only two black judges that are on the ballot.
really? Okay,
Yes.
so well, you know something. Actually, I did want to point out a couple of them, but the two that I wanted to point out, one of them is Michael P. Tooman. You all been hearing about him in the news?
Yeah.
Okay, I had not. And in fact, he sits. He's the presiding judge at the Cook County Juvenile Court, and uh, people want him out. As a matter of fact, a couple of representatives, Danny Davis, Bobby Rush, and Jan Schakowsky, they want him out, and they say that unless he's removed from the bench, there will not be any real reform with the juvenile court system, because the goal should be to rehabilitate the juvies. But with him there, that's not going to happen. They say that the primary aim for juvenile justice should be rehabilitation, and that Tooman has used his position to prevent that progress, and he's blocking reform. He sticks to the same outdated approach that has proven dangerous and ineffective year. And um, and then we have one other one, if I can remember, Mauricio Arafu. You guys know who he is? I might be saying his last name bad, but he's actually going to be removed from the court because he faces multiple sexual harassment allegations, and they want him out. So let me look real quick. They actually really want him removed. And as a matter of fact, on the 22nd of September, I wanted to share this page. I believe I can share the page with you. 1 second. Um, Share. Oh, it's not showing it. Oh well. Hang on. Oh my God. Hang on. Okay. Wait a minute. I almost knocked myself out completely. But anyway, he's gonna be removed. So I don't even know if those two people are actually gonna be on the ballot. I mean, I got my mail-in ballot, and they are on there, but it's no point in, well, Tooman, of course. Uh, the court system don't want him back. They don't want him back, and they don't want him retained. And then Arahu, the he might go to jail, so he may as well have been left off the ballot completely. So those are the only two that I really know about. And Marcella, you said that there are a lot of them. What about something about, you said there are only like two black judges who are going to who are running for real or to retain their seats?
Yeah, there are two black judges that are retaining their seats. As a matter of fact, I have put them on Facebook, and I don't have my notes in front of me. But I have put them on Facebook. So the two that were in the running
Mm-hmm.
for, but that are on it. One is a female. Gosh, all of a sudden I had a brain freeze for these two judges. I have put them on Facebook, and I can't remember their names right now. One is a female. They're already seated, but they're the only two that's running again for their seats. Um, then the female, she has a really good track record. Actually, they both do. Um, but as we go on, I'll have the names again for you. But I
Okay.
was listening to you and trying to write down the ones you were saying that we don't need to vote for
Okay,
because you don't
I'm
need
gonna post them too. So whatever we all don't have right in front of us right now, we'll be sure to post it to the page later. And
Mhm.
um, Clarence, you have anything to add on that one?
No, no, the only thing I would, the only thing I would add to that is that's a position that we really need to pay close attention to,
Right,
Mm.
right.
because uh, judges determine a lot of how the outcome of cases go as it relates uh, to African Americans and other individuals. And if we're looking to get some sort of equality in sentencing and so forth, then we have to look at the judges that we put on the bench.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely right. And that, I mean, I just happened to run across these two because I was looking for information. As a matter of fact, a friend sent me the information And I said, okay, we have to make sure at least these two have to be mentioned, because it appears that a lot of their circle are distancing themselves from them. They don't want anything to do with them. Um, and as you said, it's very important. And when as we all know, when we vote, there are pages and pages of judges there, and it's it's it's, it's really a lot of work to go back and look to see what their reputation is for, but it is so worth it because it's so important, especially how it affects the Black and Brown community. And with this situation with the juvenile court judge, he's been standing in the way for many years, and as a matter of fact, he won't even take part in this new system that they had to decrease the population in the court system. Instead of rehab, he wants to put them in jail, and that was the whole reason that juvenile court came into being, is so that children don't get judged on the same basis as adults. So
Right.
it's really just too much, really too much. Um, and when we were starting out the show, we were talking about the debate, and that was a whole mess. That was a whole mess. I honestly think I could have moderated better. I think, well, they kept a lot of people said that it should have been a woman who was moderating, that we could have controlled the situation with Trump taking over, speaking over everyone, and
Hmm.
it was just ridiculous. And but the one thing I want to say about Biden, that in all the chaos and all the interruption, when he was asked about when Trump was talking about defunding police, Biden said he does not support defunding police. Now, I feel like I was thinking to myself, okay, does Biden really understand the true meaning behind when the community says defunding the police? We're not talking about get rid of the police. We're talking about redirecting some of the funds to support and reinvest in the community, the services that the community needs to to rehabilitate themselves. And it just that just threw me off, and he never came back to address it. I don't know if that was because he was so um interrupted by Trump, or if he hadn't given it much thought. His What he did say was that he didn't think that decreasing police intervention was the answer, and we're saying we're over our a lot of our communities are over police. The Black communities are over police, and we're not no there's no other investment. Everything is to criminalize us, even from little children up. And that's not the answer. That we're telling you what the answer is, and you're not hearing that because uh, for obvious reasons you have another agenda. Well, for one, you're making a lot of money off of keeping us going to prison and going to jail, and you're starting that from these little bitty kids that you call the police on, and you're handcuffing cuffing a 6-year-old. I'm not saying that we don't need the police in our schools when we need them, but we are saying we need social workers, we need therapists, we need other resources that our schools don't have. A lot of them don't even have decent equipment to teach. The teachers don't have decent equipment to teach the kids. They don't have supplies. They don't even have a decent school building structure for the kids to even go to. And even just being being able to get to school safely. Just and then I mean you could go down even more basic than that. Just with the children even having food to eat, enough food to eat in a day so that they can concentrate and be able to function at school. So and for these people to think that more police are the answer, I don't get it.
Well, Gail, let me say this. Um, the term, when it was first used, it was never defined.
Exactly.
So what happened was you had people on the extreme end of the spectrum put a definition to it because it fit the agenda that they were on. And unfortunately, what occurred was you had extreme people who, from their perspective, they're like, well, let's just get rid of the police, and that's what they meant by defunding the police. That means just we don't need the police. Well, when I heard that, I'm like, well, that's crazy. But then because they were also, as far as I'm concerned, they hijacked the term, just like from my perspective, they hijacked Black Lives Matter. And it went from, in fact, even now, it's reported that probably 90% of their protests are not violent protests. But as it starts to get dark, then those individuals who are hell bent on raising and rioting and so forth, they do it under the name of Black Lives Matter, and it has given people pause, including myself, to say, well, hey, if you know you're not about that, then you need to speak on that so that people don't walk away thinking that uh, Black Lives Matter is about rioting and stealing, just
Exactly.
like defunding the police. You've got a group that what it means to them is to get rid of the police. But you have other individuals that say, instead of what we mean by defunding is to take some of the resources that
Mhm.
are being used to hire more police to do X, Y, Z. That no, let's hire people who are uh, professionals in these areas to deal with this, and let the police do what they do. Because part of the problem now is the fact that police departments are saddled with doing things they're not trained to do,
Exactly.
and that creates problems. But we do need the police, obviously. You know, I can say that from a personal perspective. You need the police, but you can also take some of the resources that they're using to kind of deal with things that they're not trained to deal with, and hire people who are trained to deal with those types of issues, like substance abuse and mental issues and so forth. Because I can remember when we encountered a person who had a mental issue on the street, we would just take them to a mental facility, but they've closed all the mental facilities. So now these these people have nowhere to go. They got nowhere to get treatment. And now the answer to that is to hire more policemen to deal with them. Well, that's not what you need.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you, Clarence. And that's what they have done almost in every situation as far as dealing with the police. The police is they're supposed to do everything, everything, and they can't do everything. Even as a 911 dispatcher, I mean, we could get a call where the mother couldn't make her teen get up and go to school, and you call the police. You want the police to come and make your kid go to school. How in the heck is that a police
It's not.
responsibility?
Well, it's not just a teenager. I've had calls where it was a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trust me, and they were non-black. They were not black. They were
See,
non-black.
that gets into parenting skills
Right.
or
And
the
I was
lack
like,
thereof.
I simply had to tell them, ma'am, there's no officer friendly. I'm sorry. We don't have that here. And we don't have the resources to send police to your house to talk to your 6-year-old who does not want to go to school. That's your responsibility.
Well, one of the biggest challenges I had when I was over police dispatch, uh, my confrontations with the powers to be at 35th Street when they were rewriting the dispatch order, they they were still trying to hold on to the fact that we're going to dispatch the police on various things. And when I raised the issue of, well, we need to do a PSA to let people know, don't be calling 911 because your 4-year-old took the remote and won't give it back. That's that's and that's not an extreme. Those, like you say, Marcia, you were getting those kinds of calls, and when we say that, people look at us like we're crazy. Well, then I'm saying we need to educate people. 911 is for emergencies, period, and that's not an emergency. So quit trying to put these kinds of things on the police department because they're that's not something they need to deal with. They
Right.
need to use those resources for something else.
Right.
Right.
Dog barking, all of this, loud TVs. That's not something we should do. But we also train CYA because you don't know
Oh,
if the
yeah.
is going to write you up for not sending the police because now these people are calling saying they never came and why can't I get them? My neighbor's TV is too loud and it disturbing me. And it brings to mind because I had to look up. I wanted to see what the nuisance laws were. And it does, in a way, state that anything that impedes upon your personal comfort, um, they worded it in a sense. And we have those laws here. It is a municipal that's on the book, but it should really only reflect, and they're trying to take it off. They're trying to take it off the books. They want to take that municipal out because people have used it incorrectly. And you can take a person to court for being a nuisance in the neighborhood, for being a nuisance in the sense that they're a repeated offense that impedes on your privacy. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's almost like that damn if you do, damn if you don't type of thing. And it put it this way, it's open-ended and it leads to multiple different interpretations of this law. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when that happens, you'll have a bunch of lawyers taking going back to back with the city because we can't send the police on something that minute that somebody's TV is loud.
Well, see,
So,
it,
and I
it,
did that, started researching that nuisance law because of one, what I had to deal with a past neighbor, and two, with the calls that we have. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be make sure that I'm correct in doing that. A loud TV can be disturbing because I used to have a neighbor and I'm in a house and I can hear it across the driveway. But when it comes to living in an apartment building, you first have to talk to your landlord. But yet, with that nuisance law, what has happened is the landlords um, will start to try to evict you because you have the police constantly coming to the building because your neighbor will not keep their music down. They're too loud. They're hanging out in front, or their TV is loud. So they're trying to get rid of that law, the ACLU, because landlords have been threatening tenants not to call the police for these minute things, although the law kind of leans towards that person who's been impeded upon. You know what I'm saying? It's kind
and
of it's kind of tricky and confusing, But these are things that I just don't need, that we just don't need the police to ride on, you
No,
know.
and here's what it's going to take is a commitment on the part of the city administration to decide that these are the things we're going to expect our police officers to enforce. And
Yeah.
they work together with the whoever the superintendent is, or whoever. And these are the things that maybe we can create a situation, because when you're dealing with city ordinances and things of that nature, you can write you can write citations for that, because
Right.
they are not necessarily criminal in nature. You use the word nuisance. It's a nuisance, just like you got the, uh, uh, the transportation department that rides up and down the street uh, during the time that they post street cleaning, and they ride them down the street and they issue tickets. The police used to, well, I don't know if they still do or not, but I can remember back when we would get assignments to go and write uh, parking tickets for street cleaning and that
They
sort of,
still do.
and they probably still do. But that's something that could be done by someone else, because it's just a citation.
The
It,
revenue department.
yeah, and or the Department of Revenue,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
they can deal with things like that, uh, noise abatement, those sorts of things. You can
Mhm.
send the Revenue Department or somebody to go out, cite these people for that, give them a court date, and then it's up to them to show up in court. The police don't
Yeah.
have to get involved in that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
until someone decides that they're going to commit to doing that, then there you have it.
Right. Right. That's true.
Yeah.
And even with the loud music disturbances, that can go either way. And I understand that when it comes to loud music, because um my husband had a friend that was killed based on his music being loud. Someone got mad, they had an argument, and they called someone over there, and he lost his life over loud music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Worked that night. So
Well, any situation can escalate
yeah.
uh, into, you know, some violent criminal
Yeah.
activity, but for the most part, these things can be handled in
Yeah.
far differently without the presence of the actual police officer.
I think so too, especially if you complained. The Department of Revenue should be able to do that, because there should be something where you can call 311. And if that person has called the police more than a dozen times to say, my neighbor continually plays this loud music, that should be an automatic citation in the mail to that neighbor and say, okay, now you got to come to court and answer it.
Right.
And if it's in the system, whereas the police did have to go out and they heard the music and they say turn it down, now can't just totally be on their neighbor, because their neighbor could be a liar and just don't like her neighbor. But if the police has gone out and they've heard that loud music, you know what I'm saying, then that should be something where the city can issue or automatic citation and have that person come to court. I think that'll cut out a lot of that music,
Well, you
because
know,
this country is in the business of making revenue and taking you to court and putting you in jail for
right.
debt. For debt,
But
we're
you
the
know,
only country that does it for debt.
when I left, we were processing upwards of 5 million calls a year,
Hmm.
but we were only dispatching half of them.
Right.
And probably out of that half, you probably could have cut another 20% off of that, that that shouldn't have been dispatched, but there was nothing else to do with it. So it was dispatched.
Right.
and handle it when you can. I mean, that was kind of like how it went. But when when I would meet with the department and the people and other leaders of the city and try to explain to them that if we're only dispatching 50% of the calls that we get, then we need to change the expectation of the people that are calling, which requires that you take a position and start to work with the public to let them know that don't call 911 for XYZ because we're not sending anybody to do anything about that. That is not emergency situation. But they didn't want to take that position.
Well,
They
I,
didn't want to take that position. So there it was. We were still left with that. Well, that's just one of the topics we were talking about, and we kind of got
Yeah.
off.
okay, no, and I mean, it's important to say things like that because for some reason, I mean, why doesn't Biden understand what most of us have been saying from the community level what defunding means to us? Why didn't he express that? He said he didn't support it, and he mentioned a few reasons why he didn't support it. So I just thought that, he's running for the president of the United States. We already have somebody there who oh my gosh, I mean, he's just disgraceful, and he doesn't care about anyone but himself and his own interests. So why, I mean, we're in a really bad spot. Black community is in a really bad spot in a state of our state in the United States. It's just, I mean, and another thing that was brought up, they keep referring to the affordable health care or
Mhm.
Affordable Care Act. They
Yeah,
keep
the ACA. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep saying Obamacare. Even in the presidential debates, Obamacare. It's like, really, really, that infuriates me because it's not called Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act, and
Absolutely.
we're the developed country, and our government doesn't want to provide health care to its American citizens.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
come on. It's just it's just I don't know.
Well, the media dubbed it Obamacare, and I think they did it purposefully. And it was actually not his health care plan. That health care plan had been in place, and it was something that Hillary Clinton was trying to put together when her husband was in office. She had been trying to put this health care thing together for years, and it was talked about in what's the guy's name who always does the videos, the documentaries. His name is Michael. He does documentaries on presidents and stuff.
Yeah. Michael Isikoff.
Huh?
I think it's Mike. I think you're talking about Michael Isikoff.
No, he's got another name. Heavy set guy that does documentaries, very informative documentaries. His name is Michael, and he talked about that, and the powers that be told Clinton, you're gonna have to put a strength, the restraint on your wife. So when she started running for vice president with Obama, that's when it came up again. She felt this was her opportunity to be able to do that. So the media dubbed it that, and uh, pretty much I hate the media. Period. They spin everything out of control. They fuel probably 90% of this uh, black and white. You know what I'm saying? This racism, and they take it and they just pretty much spin it out of control. They cause a lot of division. And if we had to do one thing in this lifetime, basically, as Black people, call the media out on the things that they do. It's just amazes me. The world think that Black people are just problematic animals, and we don't have a middle class, we're uneducated, all of that, all due to the media. But I also blame people too. Be responsible for your own knowledge. Step outside of the box. I remember when my mom was alive and I would come home and she would be like, "Did you see what was on the news?" I was like, "Mom, basically I am the news." And no, that's not how that happened. So stop believing everything that you hear and see. You know what I'm saying? And we have to take some things we have to take for face value, and some things we need to do the research on and make sure that that's the case that's being presented. And this is why I don't look at the news. I think it's a joke, basically. I don't look at the news. And basically I'll do it every now and then or be online, but thank God for this social media and thank God for the internet, because if it was not for that, we would not be in this position right here and now discussing this and talking about what can we do to make sure we're united to have for everyone to have our best interests at hand. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. When Obama was in office, he couldn't even say the word Black. And I think if he had just stood up one time and showed his Black man face, a lot of that would not have happened. The disrespect, the blaming, and because people believe a lot of stuff that's in front of them instead of doing the research and learning for themselves about what really is going on. Because you have the people behind the cameras, you have the people in that really do the research and put things out the way that it really is happening, and not what you see on the media. They sensationalize everything. You would think, I go places and people, "Oh, you're from Chicago. Oh my God, what's with all the shootings and stuff?" Well, have you looked at the statistics? There's shootings all over the country, and some places are a hell of a lot hotter than Chicago that I would not even visit.
Well,
You know,
on a per capita basis, as far as shootings are concerned, I think Chicago was up around 15 or 20. The way they measure it
mhm.
per thousand. We were
Right.
not number one. We were a long way from number one.
It was at I don't know if it's still that way, but it was New Orleans that was number one.
Yeah.
You know,
But the other point I wanted to make too was the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. That that was that was fought by against by a lot of people because let's face it, we're talking about dollars and cents.
absolutely,
And the
absolutely,
ACA cut a lot of money out of insurance companies and
yeah,
other pharmaceutical companies and so forth. We're talking
absolutely,
dollars here. And because we're in a capitalistic country, it's always about dollars and cents.
dollars and cents.
And we have to keep that in mind because when you hear that old saying, if you really want to know what's going on in the country, follow the money. And
Absolutely, yeah,
and that is definitely true in many cases of issues that come up, especially in any capitalistic country. You have to look at, okay, who's being affected from dollars and cents wise, and that'll let you know why they're taking the position that they're taking. Uh,
absolutely.
it-
But you know what? I want to say, I get what you mean, but it just seems that it would be more expensive to take away something that there are several people who are able to afford health insurance because of the Affordable Care Act. And
Yeah,
you take
absolutely.
that away, and what's going to replace it? Trump, he wants to get rid of it, but he never explained his plan to replace it. He repeated over and over, I have something that's better. It's going to be so much better. But he never said what it was. And that's actually what he did about everything, even in his initial campaign, running for president. The same thing. He never says what he's going to do. As a matter of fact, the moderator stated that directly to him over and over. You still haven't said what that new plan is. So
This is one.
you're gonna throw all these people out of having health care, and that's going to be a tragedy. And it's like when COVID hit. Did you only think that blacks and Hispanic or people who had no much money would be the only ones who would be affected by COVID-19? Did you really think that?
Yeah,
And that
thought it.
and
He
that
thought
is
it.
that is how they behave when it comes to healthcare. It's going to benefit everyone in the long run. We all live in this world together. So if you have a huge population who's ill, it's going to affect the rich people too.
No, but
Yeah.
see, those who have the resources, they can get the health care that they need. So they are worried about getting health care if they've got the resources to do it. And I'll use this as an example. When it was determined that Magic Johnson had HIV, way back when, Magic Johnson had the resources to go and get the medication that he needed in order to fight that disease.
Yeah.
And he's doing everything he needs to do as it stands right now. But you think about how many people died because they could not get the help that they needed. And we're talking about 25 years ago
Right.
when they were saying there's no cure for this, or there is a cure in another country. It wasn't necessarily in this country, but that individual, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just making a point that he had the resources where he could go and get the treatment that he needed. And see, people with resources, they are concerned about uh, what
Right.
affects you and I from a resource perspective. That don't mean jack to them. Absolutely nothing. Because
They
they,
will. We will never be privy to a whole lot of stuff, and you won't ever even know about it that they're privy to because money buys. And you got to look at the fact you have these lobbyists that are there to advocate for these big companies, and they're going to make sure these big companies get the dollars that they need because these big companies have resources that could save their life if they ever get some sort of cancer so they can get rid of it. Don't tell me they don't have a cure. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Or some of these real brilliant doctors just don't die mysteriously that they did when the Clintons were in office.
Very true.
So they
Mhm.
they have the resources. But before I go, because I got to get to work, I wanted to make this point. He did do he one thing I can say that he did do as far as Trump, uh, well, 5 days before the debate, he did reinstate the pre-existing condition clause that he took away from the Affordable Care Act. And another thing that he did do also too, remember that when if you did not have insurance, remember you were required to go get affordable care insurance, but if you did not, you were penalized. Well, he took that away, and I
Yeah.
thought awful that
Marcia,
they put in
Marcia,
place.
let me correct something for you. He did it by executive order, but the ACA is a law.
Yeah,
Even though he said he signed a executive order that says, okay, we're going to keep the pre-existing condition. That's
yeah,
not a law. And that's what was pointed out. It sounded good, but that's what was pointed out to him, that if the Supreme Court knocks out the ACA, your executive order don't mean jack.
Right. But what I'm saying, he should have never took it away anyway, because that was included in the Affordable Care Act when Obama them did it. But he took it out, and 5 days before this debate, he puts it back in because people were in an uproar. But what he did do that Obama's administration had in there was the fact that if you were being penalized, and I thought that was atrocious. You were being penalized if you did not have insurance, because I was concerned for my son, because after 22 years they come off your insurance. So if they're not working, or if they're working a job where it don't offer insurance, and then you don't get you can't afford the Affordable Care Act, the Affordable Care insurance, which the premiums are high, you can't afford it, then what do? Remember, there was a penalty clause if you didn't have it.
Right.
So this administration did rescind that and take that out of there. And that's the only good thing I can see. Now with Black Republicans out here talking about what he did for Black people, I'm sorry, both sides, Republican and Democrat, ain't none of them did nothing for Black people. I'm just sorry.
I agree, and I mean we could go on and on.
I feel like I'm in the 1940s.
Yeah, we definitely are. It's like we haven't gained any ground. But before we go, I just wanted to mention really quick about California. They drew up the Assembly Bill 312 to they're the first state in the country to adopt a law to study and develop a proposal to for potential reparations for the descendants of enslaved people. So now that's just it says the new law creates a task force to recommend appropriate remedies to the state legislator and determine who should be eligible to receive compensation. So just with that statement alone, I found a whole lot of problems in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even want to read about it. Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, that's what I meant when I said in 1 week, a whole bunch of stuff happens. That's all the time. But I mean, how are you going to say who's eligible to receive it? And then you want to tell what we had talked about a few months ago. You're going to tell me how you're going to give me the reparation. Hey, come on. Did you do that with all those other people you paid reparations to?
No, they gave it straight to their countries. No, they did not. Oh, before we go to, I do have the names. Cynthia Cobb is the one of the judges that's running for the appellate court, and Scott Neville. Those are the two Black judges that are on the ballot for Illinois. So Cynthia Cobb and Scott Neville.
Okay, those are some pretty easy names to remember.
Yeah, I thought so too.
We're gonna have we'll have to put them up on the we can post them later. And also I just want to remind anybody who happened to find us over here YouTube that next week we're gonna have a really great show. So please be here to help greet the Freedom Georgia Initiative members. We have a couple members coming on, so get your questions ready. And I posted a couple pictures, and they actually wrote some stuff on there that's quite interesting that people were asking me about already. So bring your question.
Yeah, explain, I guess, to our viewers who they are real quick, just briefly.
Well, I had all my little papers in my whatchamacallit went down, and I can't get it. But from what I understand is that they're a group who bought a certain amount of land to develop into African American community, and it's I want to hear their story so much. I talked to one of the members on the phone before I was able to announce it, but I'm so happy that they agreed to do it. And I believe the person that I spoke with is actually from Chicago, so it should be interesting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, so I have their names and everything in my phone, but I can't get, for some reason something's happening. I think something happened with Sprint because it seems like I'm offline with the phone. So, what can you say about technology? Because we couldn't even go Zoom and get on a whole nother story about that dang Zoom, So, all right, well, we did the best that we could with what we had for
Yeah.
tonight. And thank you, Marcella, thank you, Clarence.
All
As always,
righty.
I truly appreciate you and what you
As
bring to
always,
the show.
thank you.
All right, everybody. See you next week. Don't forget, everybody. I've been posting on all the social media, so share and tell people to come listen in and bring your questions. And that's it for tonight. Uh, thank you and God bless. Take care of yourselves and your neighbors. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good
So
night. See you next week.
all righty.